lad born and bred, strong of arm and thick in head, but proud to stand here and look after them kids. There's many issues to come out today. This demo was predominantly to be about child sexual exploitation. But yet again, the religion of peace has started waging war. Tunisia, 30 killed. Kuwait, 130 odd killed. Kuwait, 22 killed in a Shiite mosque by ISIS. And then one beheaded in Leon in the name of the religion of peace. If that's peace, I'd rather have a fucking war. But like I said, this demo is predominantly to gain knowledge, put it out there to let everybody know about the child sexual exploitation that's been going on up and down this country. You thought Rotherham were bad, 1,400 children in 16 years. Well, between September 2013 and January 2015, there was 300 cases reported that have gone uninvestigated in Sheffield alone. That's more than one every 2 days. Not good enough. These are our kids and they are not a bargaining chip to be used to get cohesion with a religion and a group of people that doesn't want to be part of us. I'll be back up a few times like this because I'm the usual Sheffield gobshite and I've got lots to say. But first off, we've got Tim Burton to say a few words here, all about the failings of this shithouse council we've got, social services, and them that are meant to protect the children.
I'm very pleased to see such a large turnout today, and I'm also very pleased to see that so many of you have chosen to ignore the exhortations of the Police and Crime Commissioner for South Yorkshire, who wanted us to all stay away. We know, he said, we know we have a problem with child sexual exploitation, he said, and we are addressing the problem, he said. So the EDL should do the compassionate thing and stay away, he said. In other words, nothing to see here. The Police and Crime Commissioner for South Yorkshire has a funny view of compassion. If we could be sure that in the wake of this terrible scandal we're once again, just as in Rotherham, just as in many other towns and cities up and down the country, hundreds of our young, vulnerable, non-Muslim female children have been raped and sexually abused by gangs of predominantly Muslim adult males. If we could be sure that all the appropriate steps were being taken to bring the perpetrators to justice, if we could be sure that all the appropriate lessons had been learnt by the relevant authorities, if we could be sure that all those in authority who were in any way responsible were forcibly removed from their positions, if we could be sure that they were never again allowed to hold a position of authority or have any further involvement with young and vulnerable children, if we could be sure that the Muslim community were taking some responsibility, if we could be sure that the Muslim community were taking all the appropriate steps in an open and transparent manner to teach against the abuse of our young children, if we could be sure that the government were addressing the bigger picture and taking steps to reduce and eliminate the very real threat to our indigenous communities caused by this unprecedented influx of hostile invaders and colonisers, then maybe, just maybe, staying away would be the compassionate thing to do. But staying away is not the compassionate thing to do at the moment, because we cannot be sure of any of these things, and because that in fact the malevolent iron grip of political correctness on our institutions remains intact, together with the associated evils of multiculturalism. The most compassionate thing that we can do as a street organisation is to keep demonstrating that we will not idly stand by while the authorities continue to sweep things under the carpet as they have been doing for the last 15 to 20 years. The Police and Crime Commissioner for South Yorkshire complains that the cost of policing the EDL demonstrations is around £500,000 each time. And yet, we are a peaceful, non-violent, non-racist street organisation. The cost of the policing required should be borne by the violent thugs of the UAF, the unwashed antisocial fascists who form counter-demonstrations whenever the EDL arrange a protest in order to foment violence and cause trouble. I have had personal experience of these unwashed, unkempt UAF thugs, as I am sure many of you have had. And I have to say that I am grateful, by and large, to the police who do a very effective job of keeping them away from us, while at the same time spraying them with military-grade industrial strength deodorant. And if you didn't know that we had such a thing as military-grade industrial strength deodorant, ladies and gentlemen, I'm reliably informed that it's based on a byproduct of the development of the Lynx helicopter. But as I said, we cannot be sure that all the appropriate steps are being taken to bring the perpetrators to justice. The authorities have largely turned a blind eye to what has been going on for fear of being called racist or bigoted or Islamophobic. The words that Muslims love to throw around when someone in their community has been caught doing something particularly horrendous, which unfortunately is all too frequently. Children have been trafficked, raped and serially abused with impunity by gangs of predominantly Muslim paedophiles who know that the chances of being caught are small. The chances of being actually arrested and charged are even smaller, and the chances of being convicted with a meaningful punishment being meted out are even smaller than that. So why would they not carry on with what they have been doing? The Quran teaches Muslims that they are the best of people. That's chapter 3 verse 110. And that non-Muslims are the worst of created beings. That's chapter 98 verse 6. So given that the risk-reward ratio is so low, why would they worry about the consequences? Of what importance anyway are the feelings of the infidel when set against the self-important righteousness of the soldiers of Allah? People whose moral and ethical value system based on Islamic teachings is completely the opposite of our own moral and ethical value system based on Judeo-Christian teachings. We can't be sure that all the appropriate lessons are likely to be learned by the authorities. Now, it may be that compared to every other set of authorities in the land, the incumbents in Sheffield and South Yorkshire may be paragons of virtue. Yes, I know, as if. But when we see the obfuscation, the buck passing, the petty excuses, the refusal to take responsibility that has characterised similar scandals in Rotherham, Manchester, Oxford, Birmingham and many other towns and cities up and down the country, we might be forgiven for being somewhat sceptical when the Police and Crime Commissioner for South Yorkshire effectively says, "Move along, nothing to see here." This is a scandal of national proportions that has resulted from the chronic and cumulative neglect by highly paid officials who should have been doing their jobs and looking after young and vulnerable female children, but instead decided to put political correctness and their own careers first. We can't be sure that those people in authority who were responsible will be removed from their positions. Look what happened in Rotherham, where those responsible clung on to their positions like limpets and had to be prized out of office, many of them whining and complaining that they were hard up by and threatening to sue for the loss of their miserable careers. We can't be sure that those in authority who are removed won't find their way back into other well-paid positions with other authorities in similar roles. Witness the case of Howard Wolfenden, who was booted out of Rotherham Council only to be hired by Birmingham City Council to advise them on how best to handle a hostile media when confronted with their own Islamic rape gang scandal. We can't be sure that the Muslim community will take any responsibility for what has happened, despite the majority of the perpetrators being Muslim, and despite what we know about Islam teaching Muslims about the lesser value of women and the culture based on the texts and tenets of Islam that allows Muslim males to see themselves as being able to treat women and children, especially non-Muslim women and children, with cruelty and violence. The pattern has historically been that Muslim communities have not taken responsibility and have continued to insist that it's all the fault of someone else, anyone else. We can't be sure that the Muslim community will take all the appropriate steps in an open and transparent manner to teach against the abuse of our young children. Witness the refusal of imams and in many other parts in Oxford and in many other parts of the country to read out sermons to their congregations, speaking against the predatory and paedophile behaviour which is rapidly becoming one of the main characteristics associated in people's minds with the rapidly increasing Muslim population in the country.